Professor Sachs, I know you visit a lot Europe. You know the governments, you know the people there. Why they are so much in hands of the U.S.? They cannot talk. They cannot talk. Let's go to sanity. Let's stop insanity.
One thing is, just the mere fact that you're 27 countries rather than one big one, that makes a difference. So the U.S. divides, Europe, and that's a point. Second, some of the Eastern European countries, understandably perhaps, especially Poland, so anti-Russian that that's a big part of the U.S. position. A third part of the story is, of course, the U.S. is essentially the nuclear umbrella for Western Europe, and that's the NATO point, supposedly. And so they don't want to talk about it. But I've had leaders of Europe say to me privately, we can't. They treat us so badly. The United States just, boom. And it's not understandable. Your question's a very good one. I expect Europe to understand its situation and to say we need a negotiated outcome on this. It's not anti-American. It's not anti-Ukraine. It's actually going to save the situation. They haven't said it yet. I'm not giving up.
And why do you think in Europe you can't see the sovereignty? It's so much in hand of the US, Europe today. All the leaders, I don't know. I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about the leaders in Europe. They are all in hand of US. If the US want to do something, they go after what the US want. Why is like this?
Nima, you asked the $64 question. I have to give you a frank answer. I can't understand it. It's fact. They still are under the thumb of the United States, but you draw an important distinction between the people and the rulers that they elect. Now, I can understand why the Germans would suffer the loss of their industries and let their people suffer from the cold this winter rather than accept what little Russian gas they need to get through the winter, and where they would not suspect that people who have talked about getting rid of Nord Stream 1 and 2, that they weren't responsible? Well, come on, Who benefits from the destruction, from the sabotage destroying these pipelines? Well, I'll leave that to your viewers. So, in other words, here are the Germans. They had a chance. There was one line still is a little bit open. Will the Germans freeze to death? Will they let their industries falter just because the U.S. says, no, you can't do that? Well, that defies explanation, and that's why I have none. I have no explanation. It's the same for the French. You would think that the U.S. hand, after 77 years from the war, would have gotten a little weaker, where these people would stand up and think for themselves. Well, I'm not afraid. I fully expect that the people in these countries, France, Germany, in Czechoslovakia, there have already been 70,000 people demonstrating in Wenceslas Square against these policies. So I think that this is going to be a short-lived sort of thing. That as soon as the European populace realize that they're being had, that these people ruling them have something really queer about them, where they can't stand up to Uncle Sam, and where they will even condone the destruction of the pipelines that would have been their salvation and not even complain, or worse still, blame it on guess who? The Russians. So we're asked to believe that the Russians destroyed their own pipelines? I mean, hello? They could have just turned the spigot off, right? God.